now is the co-founder of Ather Energy, Tarun Mehta. Tarun, good morning. What did you eat for breakfast? Was it oats?
No, no masala Nandra, just plain simple idlis.
What did you make of it all? This is your first interview since then. When you heard someone like Rajiv Bajaj take a dig at the EV, saying champions like him eat oats for breakfast.
I think it was very nice of him to sort of acknowledge all the good work that Ather has done in building the EV space. So that was a nice thing to hear. And yeah, it's about time that all the legacy players take electric seriously. I took that as Bajaj basically saying, listen, electric is super real and they want to compete, and that's amazing. So I think if there is one point that might be remembered as electric going mainstream, it might just be that.
Fair point over there. And, of course, Bajaj Auto, in a sense, is competing with Ather because, Bajaj Auto's arch rival is Hero Moto. And Hero Moto has about a 34% stake in Ather. And is that what we're going to see, Tarun? The traditional automakers riding the EV wave with startups like yours?
I think electric is, and I think there's this common misconception: electric is not like a segment, right? It's not like in passenger cars, like a few years back, SUVs and compact SUVs became like a big segment, right? So it's a segment you want to be present in. Electric is not like that. Electric is not going to be segment. Electric is going to be the entire market. So you can't play the electric market by just being present in a company. Hero's been a terrific investor and a great partner to have. But honestly, the only way to play electric is to build electric. There's no replacement to that because 100% of all vehicles are going to be electric in a very, 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 very short span of time.
Okay. Tarun, so tell us, how is it that you're cashing in on the EV range? I understand that you have plans to commission a plant as well. There are expansion plans as well under works. Tell us all about it. How is it that you're planning to grow more than you already have?
So this year has been pretty fantastic for us. We grew roughly about 12 times from October last year to October this year. There's been roughly a 20% month-on-month growth. This is the kind of growth that you hear in social media, not in auto. And we don't see this growth stalling at all. In the month of October, we supplied roughly about half of what the actual demand was. So demand is way higher, and we are still only counting demand from like about 20 cities. India is like a few hundred city market, comfortable, maybe 1,000 city market. So I think there's a long way to go. This growth is going to look pretty steep for a while because EV is no longer a story of, as I said, a new market, a new segment, a new customer. EV is now first and foremost a story of substituting and replacing petrol vehicles with electric, and that's like 200 million vehicles on the road that need to go electric this decade. So I think we're going to see some pretty heady growth for a while. I'll be honest, the last few months, the growth has surprised us. It sort of has come out faster than we anticipated, which is why we triggered the second plant. Like we thought we'll need the second plant by maybe early 23 or so, maybe even like mid 23. With the current projections, we are out of space completely, like in maybe 4 5 months. So we have triggered the second plant, work's already begun, and fingers crossed, very soon that capacity also goes live. With that going live, Ather should become the largest EV company in the country. We are already the largest by revenue, largest by value. I think we should also become the largest by volume, hopefully with this new plant.
So does that mean an IPO is coming sooner than 2 years?
So an IPO is the ultimate sign of maturity, right? And honestly, any entrepreneur, any team really hopes to finally build their business, build their company out to a point where it can go public. It can really face that scrutiny and stand tall. So that's what our ambition and our hope too is. I think the market's growing faster than we anticipated. Um, Revenue is already looking good. Your economics is at a good place. So yes, we want to get there, but it's not happening now. Like right now, there are lots of other good stuff that's keeping us busy. Everything from supply expansion to distribution expansion, new products, all this good stuff. So an IPO is in the scope, but I don't have an announcement on it. Right? So if you ask me, will you do an IPO? Absolutely. What are the plans for it? I think it's a little too early to announce those right now.
Well, I know you're going to IPO for sure. What I asked was it going to be sooner than 2 years? But we'll let you pass on that one. But tell me, Tarun, I mean, issues that grapple the entire industry, component shortage, raw material cost pressures, I'm sure you're grappling with the same, right? How is it that you're dealing and trying to mitigate and balance it all out?
Commodity price increases are lesser of a concern for EVs today because honestly, costs are falling at a far faster pace than commodity price increases. So that's a small concern today. Electronics, everybody talks about it. It is a more broader concern, but it's also a more short-term concern because see, the thing with electronics is the supply is there. It's not a case where somebody like any of these semiconductor guys have to go and add additional capacity for just the EV market, like 10,000 units, 50,000 units, 100,000 units, a million units. That's nothing. Like these guys have capacities exceeding 100 million units for all of these components. So the semiconductor problem is more a short-term problem where you have to plan in advance. We've seen this for 3 years now. You have to typically plan about 30 to 50 weeks in advance of what you want to buy. Right? So it needs more planning. It needs more preparation. I think the bigger supply chain focus is really on vendors where genuinely capacity needs to be enhanced. And that's a lot of vendors. Like as a country, we don't have motor capacity, we don't have charger capacity, we don't have controller capacity, we don't have touch screens, dashboards for automotive, we don't have enough capacities for like everything electric vehicle, right? Batteries, cells, everything. So I think those are the more focus areas for us. I would say the last 2.5 years of Ather's life, honestly, most of the time that we have spent isn't trying to build a supply chain out for these components because this is genuine supply buildup. Electronics is a more allocation problem and it needs more just more planning. Everything else genuinely needs capacity creation.
Coming to me?
So when we're talking about all of this, Tarun, there is one question that needs to be asked. There's one question that needs to be asked, and taking forward this entire conversation of, the global supply chain, and as India becomes more Atmanirbhar, etc., etc. The disruption that we almost saw in the two-wheeler space, and we have seen, thanks to your competitor Ola, just as far as the pricing of the scooter goes. But so far, no delivery, and now certain questions being asked about smoke and mirrors. First up, Ola expanding the market. What did it mean for your company, Ather? And the fact that the delivery hasn't taken place, because does that hurt sentiment?
I think more players announcing products and announcing plans is really helping with customer awareness, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 markets. And in fact, to the point that Ather's bigger focus has now become tier 2, tier 3 markets. Because tier 1 was obviously always number one for us. Like we always were focused on that. But with more players launching, I think tier 2 awareness for EVs has just skyrocketed. So I would say it's expanded the market in terms of customer willingness to buy by 4 or 5 times. So more players has really helped with customer awareness there. I think, building electric is not like BS4 to BS6. It's not a small technology change. There's a lot of new platforms that need to be built, which is why successful companies have been EV first. And it takes a few years to build a platform, stabilize it, get customer feedback, and iron out all issues. It takes a while. You can't rush forward it. I'm sure everybody who's launching now, they are committed towards it. They're going to be investing towards it. It just needs a little bit of time. You just have to respect the engineering a little bit. But I'm sure everybody, the good news is everybody who's launching now has very firm plans for going electric. These are not just PR announcements, right? So that kind of gives me confidence that eventually we'll see good products. It just needs some time.
Just trying to understand the scale that you anticipate, and this is on the back of what you just said in terms of the opportunity here. You've had one player in the market, a relatively new player, newer than you at least, talk about the hope that they will bring a gigafactory to this side of the world, kind of like what Tesla has built. Do you see the opportunity for you to bring something like that, to build that kind of capacity?
The second plant that we've just commissioned and we announced increases our battery capacity to north of 1 gigawatt hour already. So this goes live literally in a few months. Through the course of the next 3 years, I expect demand and demand and production to scale up roughly about 10 to 20 times. I believe we are going to be at a place where Ather's individual requirement will be exceeding 10 gigawatt hour, and the industry's requirement will hit about 30 to 50 gigawatt hours pretty quickly. Right? The two-wheeler industry eventually, like you're right, the scale here is just enormous. As the entire two-wheeler market goes electric, I think we are going to need about 120, 130 gigawatt hours of lithium-ion cells. We are going to need annual capacity excess of 20 million, possibly 30 million units per year. Today we are at a very early stage. So the kind of build-up that will happen over the next 3-4 years is just going to be astounding. It's going to be on the level of what typically you hear happening in China, right? Like you will see entire towns popping up, just producing motors. You will see entire areas just spamming out electronics just for two-wheeler electric. I think it's going to be a gargantuan change never seen before in the Indian auto market.
That's really interesting in that it leads me to the next question. The range that you play in, and you are at the higher speed and therefore the costlier side of the picture, a key element of this, Tarun, is expected to be the whole fleet mobility space, where that will be electrified over a period of time. Do you think you're too expensive to play in that? Any plans to reduce capacity, or rather the power of the vehicles that you produce, so that you can play that as well?
So, our strategy is not to build above a certain price point. Like, we don't got markets by price points, which is why we launched at 125, we went up to 165. We now have again products at 1,25,000. And you will see us adding more variants which are cheaper than this and even more expensive than this, right? Our driving philosophy has been to build well-integrated, good products, right? Good experiences. And our target is to become the quality benchmark in the EV market. Now, that means that you're going to see Ather launch products in multiple categories. So we're not cutting the market and saying, oh, only above a certain CC. So like current automotive market, you will see players who will say, oh, only above 150 CC, only above 250 CC or 300 CC. We're not cutting the market like that. We think there is incredible demand, and you have an opportunity to build great products for people who want to do maybe 50 kilometers per hour, people who want to ride at 80 kilometers per hour, people who even might want to touch 120 kilometers per hour. And I think it is going to eventually build products, portfolios that will reach all these segments. The only guiding thing for us as a product is going to be the products have to be well built and they're going to be high quality, great experiences. Having said that, I think we're also fairly clear as a company, our DNA is wired to understand consumer. We don't understand B2B very well. I don't have business development teams. I don't think we can cut enterprise deals like this, right? Like we don't understand enterprise mindsets. We do understand individual customer mindsets. So if you come to Ather's office, you will see these giant posters that say build for us. And the product philosophy is that please build stuff that you yourselves want to use, you want to be the customer for. If you can't imagine yourselves being the customer for this, maybe don't build it. It's not worth the effort. Hence, I don't think you will see Ather directly building and playing in the fleet market, because I don't think we understand the customer well enough there, not yet.
Okay, Tarun, we've run out of time, so we're going to leave it at that. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for joining us today live on the market right here on ET Now. That's Ather Energy for you, trying to make waves in India's EV story. So particularly in the two-wheeler space that we have seen traction go up. Capacity addition as well. So that indicates, of course, that sales have only picked up, and you heard it from the man himself how October was. With that, we're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned. A lot more coming up on the other side.